This is Africa Archield, your joy strategist. And today I have a few true confessions to make around money. Yeah, today we're going to talk about being a good financial risk. And I almost want to hang my head in shame because for a long time, I just absolutely was not a good financial risk. You know, I had so many issues in myself bound up around money. I would borrow from my relatives and friends and not necessarily pay them back. Now, sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't. And even when I had money that came in where I could possibly at least make a partial payment and not pay the whole thing, you know, I felt a little entitled. I'd earned that money and I wanted to buy stuff for myself. Is this ringing true for you? I was the worst. I mean, I knew all the good things to do around money. I just didn't do them for myself. In fact, I was the picture perfect model of do as I say and not as I do. I would help people set up their financial systems, not just individuals, but companies, and have them running perfectly. In fact, there was one client that I had, and he had a fairly decent sized company, and I helped him run all of his books for his company and for him personally. Access to all the accounts, and they were all in working order, and I would fuss at him if they were not. If he did something he wasn't supposed to do. And then you look at my own financial life, and it was a train wreck. So, I mean, when I say do what I say and not what I do, I was just really super honest about that. All right, so I want you, if you find yourself in this situation where your financial life is a train wreck, no one's going to loan you money anymore, you wouldn't even loan you money if you could. It's time to turn over a new leaf. And you know what? I know it can happen because I changed. It took time, but I changed. And I'm going to give you a couple of ways, a couple of the strategies that I used to make that change. The first strategy I used was to have gratitude around money. Now, I'm not talking about loving money, because you all know the love of money is the root of all evil. So I'm not talking about loving money, but what I am talking about is showing gratitude for the flow of money. So what does that mean in really practical terms? For me, it meant tracking every dime, every penny that came in, from interest on a savings account, to obviously my earnings, money I would find on the street. I am not too proud to pick up a penny off the ground, okay? And also the value of what people would do for me. You know, sometimes people would come up, you know, not completely out of the blue, but maybe a friend would pick up the tab at lunch. That was a value to me to have someone else pick up that tab. And I would put that on my chart, where every single day I wrote down all the money that came in. It gave me a very visual picture of that flow of money. And I was grateful for it. Now, I would thank God every time one penny would come my way, and I still do to this very day. Now, you also have to be grateful for what goes out. And this is where I really had trouble at first. To be grateful to pay my bill, to spend money, to go to the grocery store and pay what seemed like double the price from last year for a gallon of milk. I had to get some gratitude about that too. It's about the entire flow. So, you know, I would give the clerk at the store the money for whatever it was I was buying, and I would just, you know, thank you God that I have this money and that's going out to help someone else. Because it's important to realize money flows, and you have to be grateful for that flow. The hold me accountable. Remember, when you take it out of your head and you put it on paper, it becomes more real on all sorts of levels. And it serves to hold you accountable. So make sure, even if you borrow from yourself, and I'm talking about you borrow from a credit card because you have to charge your groceries one day, or you pull money out of your savings account, make a written plan to pay it back. Okay? Now, my third thing I did, and this was, I think, hard. It was hard because I'm like, sometimes I'm scrambling, just to pay the bills. I developed a written savings plan. And when I talk about a savings plan, I made it automated. 10% right off the top. Now, I actually do two kinds of percentages right off the top. The first one is savings, 10% right off the top. Another 10% right off the top goes into a different account for tithing. And we'll talk about tithing in an entire another video because I can go on and on about the many reasons to tithe and where I believe you should tithe or where I tithe. But right now, let's talk about the savings part. 10% right off the top. And you take whatever percentage right off the top that you need to take. Now, I worked with another client, and she had a great business as well, and she, Schedule C, she didn't want to get incorporated. But she had so much extra cash. She had a very simple plan. She put a third in one account, and she called it fun money. And this is all the money that she could just blow. And she had another third she put in an account called bills. And this was all the money that she would accumulate to pay her monthly bills. Okay, so it ended up being, any extra ended up being savings. Then she had another account, which was the last third, was just for business, in case she needed to make some capital expenditures. And it worked like a charm for her. So, if you can simplify that way, simplify. Do it the way that makes sense for your lifestyle and where you're going. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you turned over a new leaf? Have you changed from your bad financial ways? I want to hear about it in the comments. And if you're not already over on AfricaArchield.com, get over there right now and sign up for email updates. Because if you're digging this content, you gotta share it with your friends. Maybe they need some help on turning over a new financial leaf. Okay. I look forward to reading what you have to say in the comments, and of course, I will comment back to you. I have a few resources down below this video that you can use, some of the things that I use myself. Alright, so, until we engage in comments, be peaceful, joyous, and love-filled. Have a wonderful day.